Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I am Chats. I am here with Rob. We are being brought to you by Northeast Stream Sports, Sportswire Radio, YouTube, Twitch, and everything else involved with social media. And we will be breaking down whether or not today we'll even have a game. Who will be Nastier? Will it be Nestor tonight, or will it be Mother Nature? We'll be taking that all down right here on Pinstripe Chronicles. So we will be supposed to we will be expecting to have a game tonight. And the one thing that's really been striking my mind first and foremost about everything with the scheduling is for the teams that had the bye, how the schedule, it's almost like it's going out of its way to hurt those teams because you had the 5 day off, and you play a game and then you're off for a day. You might not have a game tonight, so you got to squeeze in an afternoon game on a Friday. How can teams prepare themselves to stay into a rhythm when they can't get into a rhythm? You already stopped all their momentum from the end of the season by having them sit around for 5 days. And granted, the teams earned the right and the privilege to not have to play that wild card series, but it's almost at the same time could be be construed as being punished a little bit. Do you think that MLB really has a scheduling problem with this playoff platform?
It's clear as day they do. They should never have had a day off in between game 1 and 2. That never used to be the case. They used to play game 1 and 2, then you'd have a day off. Then it'd be game 3 and 4. Then another day off if necessary. You go to game 5. But the fact that they have a day off between game 1 and 2, and I think another day off between 3 and 4, but no, they would play 3, 4, 5 back to back to back with no day between the travel days, which is stupid. So this was a weird scheduling. They should have just had the 2 games at Yankee Stadium be Tuesday, Wednesday, take today off, and then they go to Cleveland. It just made too much sense to keep it the way it was. I don't know why they changed it.
Yeah, no, it's especially you see the weather reports ahead of time. Why couldn't they just shuffle around the schedule and have the game played yesterday and have today as your off day? So that didn't make any sense either. And the only explanation for that is because MLB is stuck in the pockets of the networks. The networks are dictating the way that the game is being played. And I think that it's too much of a money grab. That's where the greed comes into it. Because the MLB wanted to make all these deals with these different networks rather than all these teams that already have their own network, taking the game away from them because they want the national spotlight. Granted, you want to have the national spotlight because you want to promote your game.
I see the spider, Tats. I found
him.
I found the little bastard. He's right underneath my giant sign. But I'll tell you, right now, there's a reason why they're not moving the game is they hope it gets played because they want to compete New York primetime playoff baseball with Thursday Night Football. And I'm going to turn my camera off for a second so you piggy up on that. I'm going to kill the spider real quick.
You got it. So, yeah, no, Nick, I'm going to go to your comment right here. And one good thing about the Mets being eliminated is I get to sit back, relax, and be a baseball fan. Yankees are set up perfectly with game 1 win and Nasty Nestor about to pitch. Yeah, I think that somebody else like you, that even when, if my team's not involved, I'm still watching and paying attention. And it is fun to just sit back and you can watch it without a bias, without that emotional frustration of your team playing. I think that's such a bonus for baseball fans overall. So that's where it can be a lot of fun, even though it does suck to have your team eliminated.
I killed him.
Good.
I got him. So I don't know what you were saying because I had to take my headphones off. So please.
Yeah, we were. I was responding to Nick's comment here. I'll put it up again with with the Mets being eliminated. He could sit back as a baseball fan and enjoy the game. And how the Yankees are set up, nice after the game 1 win with Nestor going, and just to repeat one more time, it is fun when you are a baseball fan and you're able to watch it without the stress of your team playing, without having a bias towards the opponent, and you can just sit back and enjoy the sport, give credit, but, give an unbiased credit or criticism to either team that's playing in those games. So it does make it a little bit more fun. But he also adds to that. He goes, "Don't get me wrong. I have New York in my blood, so I still have a bias. Go Yankees." The Yankees are. I really do think they are set up nicely in this series. Not having to use a lot of you guys. Not having to do anything for 5 days, having a game, then an off day. They were able to kind of reset a little bit, and I think that will benefit them whether they play tonight or not. If it is tomorrow.
It's most likely going to be tomorrow because Costas wouldn't shut up about it the other night. He kept saying, if they play Thursday. The fact that they knew about this 2 days ago, we've known about the weather report since, 4 5 days ago. They knew it was going to rain. Why not change it? I mean, even though it's playoff baseball, it's the Yankees, more people are going to tune into football. That's just a fact. It's going to be a little bit closer because it's the playoffs, but football is so nationally loved more than baseball is at this point. So they're trying to compete, but if the game gets rained out, that's not going to matter. So I don't know why they're hoping to fit this in. The scheduling never made sense to begin with. And I think that's actually interesting that Nikki said go Yankees because I personally would never root for the Mets. I can't root for them. Unless they were playing the Red Sox, I'd be like, okay, go ahead, go Mets. But I don't think I'd ever root for the Mets. So look, that's an interesting take there because I think it's pretty universal from Mets and Yankees fans. They don't root for the other. A lot of Yankees fans can't stand the Mets, and a lot of Mets fans can't stand the Yankees. That's very interesting that he said go Yankees there.
Yeah, no, it is, and thank you for that. The other thing you brought up the NFL, and that was one of the other points that I wanted to make with the scheduling. Is that you're going to have off days, travel days, and everything in between for that. Why would MLB want to compete with the monster of the NFL? Why not have Thursdays and Sundays as your off days, travel days? So, obviously, with Monday night. You can't have all these, you can't not play, whatever any other sport is on. But it would give you a better market for your national televised games because especially with the way that in New York, the way that the Jets and the Giants have been playing, who's going to be paying attention to the Yankee game? On a Sunday. Nobody's going to be watching. They're all going to be locked in onto their teams. I'm sure you're going to be locked in on the Giants. You'll be paying attention to the Yankee game, but your main focus. I'm assuming.
No. When it comes to the playoffs, I will be my sole focus. Now I don't know when they would play whatever game would be Sunday, because if it goes tomorrow as game 2, will they even have a game? So that's the thing. I'm confused because Sunday would be game 4. But it'd be at nighttime. So the Giants would play at 1:00. I wouldn't have to worry about that.
But you would know that more than I would.
Obviously. Yeah, but tonight's game is really bad anyway in the NFL. So they might get a lot of viewers. That's probably why they're pushing it. But I just checked the weather for the Bronx, and it's not supposed to let up around maybe 11 o'clock, something like that. So why would they even bother? Because it's going to start raining maybe 20 minutes after first pitch.
You know what I also just realized? Where it can there can be a slight percentage of benefit for the for MLB is the NFL Thursday night games are on Amazon Prime. So you don't have your main networks having Thursday night football. You don't have it's not on ESPN. So that might be a benefit for baseball to have a time to be like, all right, well, you went, we just went through it and caught all types of hell for being on 15 different apps. Let the NFL get a taste of that and see how they hold up. So that also can, because I know at my job, right? We in our break room we have the TV in there, but we don't have Prime. So we're on a Thursday on our dinner break where they would normally sit and they put the football game on. they're going to turn the baseball game on instead. And that's just that's just one place. That could happen in a couple of other places as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know what they're trying to do. I just think it's very stupid that they didn't plan this out better, because even if the game in the NFL sucked, which it really does suck tonight, it's like the Bears in Washington or something, but you're still going to get more eyes on football because football is more nationally loved.
Football is king, let's be honest.
Yeah, football is the king of the country right now. So you're not going to get more people tuning into a baseball game. You'll get a lot of people, but most of the people watching are going to be Yankees fans and Cleveland fans. You're not going to, if you're like a Kansas City Royals fan, you're probably not going to, let me tune into the Yankee playoff game where you can probably go watch football. If you really don't care, you're going to change it up. But what did Nikki say down here? I disagree. I bet Thursday Night Football game would have better ratings than a Yankee playoff game. That's what I'm saying. I think it will. More people are going to watch it. I'm saying more eyes are going to be on the football game than the baseball game.
No, I'm not trying to imply that baseball is going to, because the NFL is on Prime, that they're not going to get any viewers because there's playoff baseball. I'm not that naive, but it might give a chance for MLB to just grab another handful or so, TV sets that, they're not in a situation where they could just put on the app, or watch, on TV. They're going to go to the easier game to watch just to get some sports in at night. So it's a very small percentage. I would say maybe, 1-2% of the households will make that decision. So I'm not trying to make it like, MLB could take over the NFL. Let's not be silly. Even I wouldn't make a statement like that. But to get to a couple more comments, Eddie Smith. Eddie, thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome back. Love the starting pitching. Nervous about the bullpen. And I cannot listen to Costas. He was so annoying. Good morning, guys. Yeah, good morning, Eddie. Costas was terrible. It really was. I watched it for the 2 innings I watched the other day. He doesn't shut up.
He was bad. There was one point he was talking about Stanton. He said the Yankees traded for him, and then he signed his massive contract, which isn't true. Oh. So he had no enthusiasm when Rizzo tied the game. He used to have enthusiasm, but he's older. They need to get, I don't know, they got to have guys with energy for these playoff games. You want people that are watching to feel excited along with while they're watching the game. You had to have some energy. Costas is very old school. You might as well put John Smoltz with him, and they can just talk about how much better the game used to be before computers took over. That's all they ever do anyway. So I don't know. The broadcast is usually is pretty terrible throughout the postseason, which sucks because Joe Buck adds no enthusiasm either when he's calling games.
Yeah, Joe Buck, and I'm not a Joe Buck fan, but at least he does give a little bit. He can raise the level of excitement from time to time throughout a game. Where Costas was just very monotone, for somebody that's old school, just really didn't let the game breathe at all. Like you see it, like when they replayed on the fan the day after Judge hit the 62nd home run, they were replaying, the TV call, the radio call, and then they actually replayed the calls from Texas. And when you're listening to when they replayed the radio call, he hits the home run. They announced that it's gone, and then they paused and let the roar of the crowd tell you rather than saying and everybody's going crazy, they just let the stadium crowd do that for you. There was no need to exaggerate what was going on. So sometimes you just need to let the air, let the airtime breathe a little bit and just learn to just shut up for a few seconds. And also give the guy that you're doing the show with, let him say something. It seems like Ron Darling, he was just kind of there hanging out in the box, really not giving any major input.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty rough here. Elliot says Thursday Night Football is terrible. It's unwatchable. Depends on who's playing. Last week stunk, and I bet tonight's going to stink too. Also says that he has, as a baseball fan, I don't want MLB to concede to football. I'm happy they have the guts to go up against the NFL. Yeah, if the game wasn't in jeopardy, I'd be right along with you, but it's not going to get played tonight. So, and they've seen the weather report, and I don't know why they decided let's change the playoff schedule for the fact that we can go up against football. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
Yeah.
Eddie muted him on and off. That's a smart man. And then Nikki says, I really like listening to David Cohen on the broadcast. I think David Cohen and Ron Darling are my favorites. Cohen's great. He adds a lot of really good input, especially on the pitching side for obvious reasons. He used to be a pitcher. Of course, we all know that. Yankees and Mets fan would all know that. But he knows the sport, and he's willing to tap into what modern analytics are doing and incorporate that into his knowledge. And it's really fun to listen to, someone that's taken the old school and the new school and kind of blending it, where someone like Smoltz is, this would never happen back in my day. And it was just like get off my lawn type. And it's very annoying to listen to. You don't want to hear that. And Bob Costas is very, let me call this pitch. There's a strike. 0-1 is the count. By the way, and then he'll start talking about Judge for the 75th time. Look, I love the season Aaron Judge had, but they didn't stop talking about it. It's the playoffs now. You got to talk about the playoffs here. He was seen to be praising Cleveland, everything Cleveland did. And then whenever it would come, like he was ripping apart Donaldson, like maybe if the guy would hustle, he would have scored. And then he would say something like, even though Cleveland only had one run, they've struggled offensively all postseason. They have fought really hard tonight. Did they though?
Yeah.
That's what you need to have. Just show your you got to be impartial. And Eddie says 100. Yeah, it was brutal listening to Costas, and I probably screamed "shut up" at my television like 75 times throughout the game. But let's talk about the potential game that could be played, because we got game 2 maybe either today or tomorrow. Nestor Cortez against Shane Bieber, big matchup. What does Nestor have to do in order to, I would say, give this bullpen a little breather? Does he have to match Cole's numbers in terms of innings, or can he go 5 and that would be okay for you?
No, he's got to try to match Cole. I think if he's able to, when he's at his best is when he's working quick. When he doesn't try to overthink everything. So he needs to understand, even though it's a playoff game, what worked for you in the regular season needs to continue. And that's usually the big factor on if you are going to succeed in the playoffs. Don't change. You could tweak what got you there, but don't change what got you there. So if he's able to work quick counts, he's got that funky delivery he likes to throw in once in a while. If it's going to work for you, use it. Stick with what you've been doing. What's gotten you to this point? If you see in the first couple of innings that he's just kind of shaking off a little bit, he's not working quick delivery, then you might have a little bit of concern. Maybe he'll give you 5, but when he's on, he's got the ability to limit his pitch counts. So he doesn't labor through innings too often. So I think that's going to be another factor, especially with a little, it's hard to just say to say this without seeming like I'm trying to discredit Cleveland. They're scrappy. They're not gonna hit the ball all over out of the ballpark. They're gonna hurt you with singles and base running. So limit your base runners, limit your threats, and that's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, you're right. One thing Cortez did really well this year was not shy away from what got him here. He didn't go away from his best pitch, his cutter. He would dial up that fastball to 94, 95 when he needed to, which the fact that he can do that kind of just on a whim, like, I'm going to throw for 95 this time instead of 93. Or 92. That's a pretty good thing to have. And the funky deliveries and all that stuff. I love what he brings to the table. He's very humble. He knows that even Aaron Boone said, like, he's a guy that's had to bounce around and get to where he is today. And I don't think he's going to be fazed by the pressure. He hasn't been before. He went out and, the All-Star game is obviously a lot different than the playoffs, but he went into that with like a very positive attitude. I think he'll have this. He's going to have fun out there, and he's also got really good numbers against Cleveland. So did Garrett Cole, which I think that's a very smart thing that they matched him up 1-2, which you had to. But yeah, Nestor, just keep them off balance. Do what Garrett Cole did after that, third inning. That was the issue for him. And you also can't be walking batters, which Cortez does not do. So Cortez has that in his advantage. So if you can keep them off balance, get quick innings, quick 1-2-3, 1-2-3, you can give up a base runner here and there, but don't let that one inning kind of get away from you, because Cleveland can do that. They got some guys that aren't necessarily known as power hitters, but they can kill you with the power. And Jose Ramirez is a guy that can do everything, so he's their best hitter. But Naylor can get you. Kwan can get you at any moment. They got guys that can hit and do something that you weren't expecting. So you got to make sure that you don't make any mistakes, because they will take advantage of it. They haven't really yet this postseason, but they can. That's why they're in the playoffs. They are able to score enough runs when they had to. So you got to respect them a little bit more than people are. A lot of people are disrespecting Cleveland's offense because they haven't been very good this postseason, but they can strike.
They can turn it on, no problem.
Yeah. So I think Nestor is a guy that can limit them, and he can save this bullpen a little bit, because I am not confident. Even after game one, I'm still not confident in anybody but Wandy right now.
Yeah. No, Wandy is the only one that, I think if you're going, if Nestor's coming out, as much as, we've with all the question marks in the bullpen, Wandy would be the guy I go to right after Nestor. That's what I would want to see. That would at least give me, a little bit of confidence that, they're managing the game to win. Even though, just because you're already up a game, you can't afford to give a game away and let the season be even the series up. Go up 2-0 before you go on the road. Give yourself that, that make them chase you. So with Nestor on the mound tonight, he is definitely a guy that can have them continuing to try to catch up to us and failing. But Nick here with another comment. I think if Nestor can get the Yankees through the lineup twice with giving one run or less, it should be considered a great outing. I'm confident their bullpen can finish it. Well, I think you're the only one that does have confidence in the bullpen. But no, I think that if Nestor can get into the third time through the order with a solid pitch count, I would let him keep going. It's all going to come down to his pitch efficiency. How is he able to get through quick innings? Can he have 15 pitches or less? That's going to determine where you stand in the game.
Yeah, that's what got Cole through 6. Yeah. He had 40 through the first couple innings. You're like, uh-oh. It's what you said yesterday. You were like, this could be a short outing and we could have a bullpen game. Can't have that. And Nestor's a guy that is able to limit his pitches pretty well. And he's been able to go deep in games a lot this year. He's pitching to the 8th a couple of times. So, and they've been very, very cautious with how they've used him since coming off the IL, because it's the most he's thrown in his entire career. So this is a time to let him loose, because they haven't let him really go deep into games. They let him throw over 100 pitches, but they're not letting him throw too many. I think tonight, if he's cruising and he's approaching 100, because Cole got taken out right after he hit 100 pitches, and he gave up that first hit in the 7th. But if Nestor's cruising along and he's getting towards 100, I think they let him ride it out until he maybe gets through 7. If he can get you through 7 innings, even if he's out into the 7th and he's hit 100 pitches, I think you leave him in. I think you might have to. If he's cruising along, you don't play with it, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah. Spencer also, I agree. Nestor has to go deep into the game with a very uncertain Yankees bullpen. That's been, pretty much the story of the playoffs so far, and all the analysis on our shows and others. It's all about limiting the bullpen usage so nothing can implode on you. I think that's really where it's going to come down to. There's enough faith in the starting pitching, and the thing that would really hurt them if they have to, if they lose off days because of the weather, don't forget they also moved Tyone into the bullpen. And I think you will see him at some point come into a factor into a game. So, say for instance, you're only able to get 5 out of Cortez, because even though he might not have, he might have not given up any runs, but they might have his pitch count up because they could battle it at a bat. Cleveland they're not easy outs at all. They might not put up a lot of runs, but they don't make it easy on any other pitches. So you might see Tyone come into, if it's only a 5 inning game, you might see Tyone come into play. So that's another option. And then, with Eddie here, bullpen scares me, biting my nails when they get to it. Yeah, it's the bullpen's the biggest question mark for all of us. That goes without saying. That's pretty much all that everybody says. And back to Nick here. This is playoff baseball. I would be careful trying to get through a lineup 3 times. No, I'm not. It depends on the quality of the at bats that they're putting up. If they're making it, if Nestor's not struggling, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But when you get to the 3rd turn of the order, when they're getting, have somebody warming up in the bullpen because you never know.
Only bullpen guy who scares me is Castro. Ugh. I mean, it can't be worse than Chapman's, and he's not here, so
thank God.
But I think Tyone being there is very important, but would they save him or Herman for a Severino start? Because Sevy, even though he just went 7 in his last outing, did just come off the IL not too long ago. And he's a guy that you might have to limit just for the sake of being cautious and making sure he's there for another playoff start, or if anything, maybe coming in late in the out of the bullpen in a game 4 or game 5, or game 5 specifically. So they might have to save those bullets for a Severino start. But I think if Nestor's cruising, that's the only thing I said. If he's cruising along, you leave him in. But if he's showing signs of laboring and deteriorating, then you pull him. You don't play any games. This is not a August baseball game. This is October. Obviously, you don't take any chances. But if he's pitching really, really well, you don't want to take him out for no reason. I still don't agree with them taking out Cole when they did the other night. I still think he could have given you another 2 outs, and he's a guy that you can get 120 pitches out of, and he'll be fine his next outing. But Nestor, you have to watch the pitch count, and you have to see where he's at, and you have to see who's coming up. All that comes into play. But only thing I said is if he's cruising along, keep him in. If not, take no chances. Bring in Herman, bring in Tyone if you have to. I'm confident Loaiza can be pretty good, but he wasn't great the other night. Zero confidence in Clay Holmes. And it's really just kind of flip a coin with the rest of the guys, because Licky can be really good. He can also be terrible. So you really have to wonder about that. And the Marinaccio injury is killing us right now. And obviously, Efros being out. We're deteriorated in this bullpen. But if we can scrap together some good innings from whoever it may be, Trevino as well, then go get the W any way possible.
Yep. Yeah, Elliott's agreeing. I don't care if he faces the lineup for three times, I guess. If I'm assuming that also says if Junior is putting up zeros, that he's the guy I want on the mound. No, I do, and that's what it comes down to. It's one. He's one of the we haven't had a starting pitcher that we've had this much confidence in, game out, in a while. I think he's earned the trust of the fan base that if he's dealing, you let him ride it out. You don't pull him just because the book says by the 7th inning you need to get him out. If he's got them all fooled, let them keep fooling them.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to what happened with Blake Snell in the playoffs in the World Series a few years ago when they pulled him far too early, and Tampa Bay pulled him out of the game, and then it broke down afterwards. I don't know why they pulled him. It was a pitch count or whatever it was, but that's something that lives on in Kevin Cash's in his negative bank. If you want to say something negative about him, it's the fact that he pulled Blake Snell when he did. Buck Showalter not making a change when he needed to. Potential playoff moves that don't get made or do get made obviously get talked about forever. So you just hope that Aaron Boone doesn't make that blunder of pulling a guy too soon and it blows up in his face, or not pulling a guy when he needs to.
Yeah, and I want to segue that into where Boone needs to stick with what's been working, and it goes to Eddie's comment here because I want to get into the offense a little bit, and it says Yankees really need to jump Bieber. Seeing the Yankees do it before to him, yeah, the Yankees do. This lineup does have decent numbers against Bieber. Would you at this point? We all appreciated that they moved him into the leadoff spot during the home run chase. Has it reached the point where you should make, Boone should think about putting him back in the 2 hole, just to kind of put the lineup back where it was? Or would you leave the lineup? Would you trot out the same lineup that they did?
You got to go the same lineup. There's nobody on this bench that deserves to play over who we had in the starting lineup the other night. Had DJ been here, I would say put DJ at third, and maybe you could put Carpenter in left, but Cabrera played really well in left, so that's an option. I'm not sure though. I still wouldn't start Carpenter over Cabrera.
Not yet,
because I don't know how much Carpenter can play in the outfield just yet. I still think his role right now is pinch hitter, although if they like him against Bieber more than Cabrera, they could go that direction. So I think anybody if there's anyone, it'd be Carpenter. But no Higgy, definitely no Aaron Hicks, no LoCastro as a starter. But I wouldn't change the lineup. Aaron Judge has been just fine in the leadoff spot.
I would keep the same players in the lineup. I was just more curious and wanted to bring up the discussion of would you change the batting order at all? Because I think what they did, it did feel like a very fluid lineup in game one, and I think now that they got that 5-day layoff out of the way, even with the off day, I think you'll see a lot more contributions from other players in the lineup.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it either. I think you have to be cautious when you lead off with Aaron Judge because if Bieber doesn't want to fall behind 1-0 early, even if he strikes out, he's giving you a 6-7 pitch at bat almost every time he's up. That's pretty important to look at. And then you got to follow that up with Rizzo. And then you got to deal with Torres. And even if these guys don't get on, if you make him throw a lot of pitches, because the strength of Cleveland is the back end of their bullpen.
Yeah.
Their middle relief is solid, but it's not like out of this world great. So if you can get Bieber out of the game quickly, the best way to do that would be to work his pitch count, or just blast him for a few runs early on. I don't know if that's going to happen in the playoffs, but even though we've done it before, it's going to be up to Judge set the table. Yep. We really don't have a leadoff hitter right now. You can say Bader could be that guy, but to me, it's got to be Judge.
Yeah. I'm going to rewind, go back a little bit with the comments back to the pitching. Steve Schulman, thanks for hanging out with us. And the Guardians drove up Cole's pitch count. They actually did compete. Yeah, no, they like we said, they can put up good at bats. You don't let their run. The lack of runs that they've put up, I don't think dictates how competitive they are at the plate. I think that's very misconstrued. And Elliot here, I would absolutely keep Aaron Judge in a leadoff spot. When he's leading off is our best chance to start the game off right with a home run and put a number on the board. Absolutely. So, that's why I actually do like the idea of leaving Judge in the leadoff spot, because you can get. He's not just going to try to hit that leadoff home run. He's going to make contact with the ball. He's going to see pitches. He's going to give the opportunity for the guy on deck to see what's working for Shane or not. So I think when you have a bat like that, although he's a power hitter, he's not your standard power hitter. He also can hit the ball around the park. So I think he actually does make a very solid leadoff hitter.
He's our best hitter. Yeah. He's our best hitter. Like that's the thing. Like he's better than DJ this year. He's better than Benintendi's hurt. If Benintendi was there, he'd be leading off, I believe. But he's better than Donaldson. He's better than Rizzo. He's better than Stanton. He's better than Cabrera. He's better than Trevino. He's better than all these guys. He's the best hitter. So you want to make sure you get him the most at-bats possible. So either that's batting him first or second or third. And right now, you really don't have a typical leadoff hitter, so you might as well put him first.
Yep. Yeah, you got Steve back with another comment. Thank you. But one run really wins a game. That's very true. If he comes up with guys on base, we have a better chance of going up 2 or 3 zip rather than 1 run. Yeah, that's where it kind of you need to strengthen the bottom of your lineup if you're going to have Judge in the leadoff. That's why I think having IKF towards the bottom of the order, as much as he's not everybody's favorite player, the guy does get on base. He's not he's another one. He's not an easy out. So it's really they have to construct this. If they keep this lineup constructed the way it is, I'm not worried about if Judge is hitting leadoff. That really only carries from the first inning. After that, it's just a matter of making sure you have guys on the bottom of the order that are capable of getting on base for him.
Yeah, it's up to the rest of the lineup. And there's another comment here from Hypebeast Jay.
Where have you been, Jay?
Yeah, where have you been? It's been a while. He says the Judge of the leadoff is fine. I like how they put Bader in ninth, so when the lineup turns over, you got Bader, Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton. So yeah, that's actually a very good point because Bader was fantastic the other night. He hit the home run. He says, we
know that one.
Yeah, we know that feeling. And he also says that Bader's speed is good on. Yeah, I just don't think he would, at this point, be leading off over Judge to lead off a ball game. And that's something that Eddie says here. Lead off to me is the first inning. So I think you can have that nine-hole hitter be your second leadoff hitter, quote unquote. That's what we talked about earlier in the year with IKF at the bottom of the order. But it got to a point where they were jumping him all over the place and it never really stuck. I think Bader in the 9 spot right now really, really works because it gives a chance for a guy like IKF or Trevino hitting 7th and 8th to get on in front of him.
Yeah,
Bader can keep the line moving. So you've kind of jumbled up most of your speed there at the bottom of the order, at least with IKF and Bader. Trevino's slow as can be, but Judge is also very quick. So he stole 16 bases this year, and he had a stolen base the other night. So
yeah, I think he's got 16 out of 19 bases stolen.
Yeah, he's got speed.
Very effective base runner.
Yeah, he is. So I like the way the lineup was constructed, considering who we're down without Benintendi, without LeMahieu. Those are 2 big names to be out. No Peraza on the roster. I still would prefer him over IKF, but that's a moot point at this juncture. So I don't think they should change anything unless they have Carpenter start the game in left field, and then later on they would bring in Cabrera to be that defensive replacement. If they have a big lead, they can do that.
Yeah.
But you might need Carpenter's bat against Bieber tonight over Cabrera.
Yeah, but that could also that would be I believe that would be towards the end of the game you might see a little defensive swap depending on how the game is going. You might not need to rush Carpenter onto the field. So I think if you do see Carpenter in tonight's game, it would be to pinch hit for Stanton, just to kind of get somebody on the other side of the dish. So
for Stanton, you would pinch hit for Stanton?
It depends on the situation. I think there's a situation where anybody can play at any time. It's the playoffs. You can't play favorites.
Oh, yes, you certainly can. You don't take Giancarlo Stanton out of the game for Matt Carpenter. I'm sorry. Stanton's your DH. You have no reason to take him out of the game unless it's a pitch run.
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't push Carpenter to play the field that he just came back. Maybe in the LCS you put him in the field, but not just yet. I want to see him get a couple of at bats. Before giving him a position on the field. That's just me.
I mean, they could always put Stanton in left, but they've already said that won't happen until the next series. And you can't take his bat out of the lineup for anybody. There's nobody on this roster, that includes Carpenter, that you take Stanton's bat out of the lineup for.
So would a better situation be pinch hitting Carpenter for Cabrera and then maybe putting LaCastro in as the defensive replacement in the next?
I would start Carpenter in left.
Okay.
And then maybe he gives you, because what they did early in the year was he starts and then he gives you maybe 5 innings. So you can hopefully get 2 at-bats out of him. Then if he gets on base, because if he's not hitting a home run, he's probably not going to get on unless he draws a walk, even though he was hitting the ball really, really well. But if he gets on in like the 5th inning or whatever, then you pinch run. Or for Trevino, yeah,
Yeah, that's
Hypebeast Day
another
says
good
that.
point, Jay.
You pinch hit for the catcher because both guys are defensive-minded catchers, so you're not really losing a lot if you take Trevino out of the game and replace him with Higgy. So that's actually a really good point as well. I just would never take Stanton out of the game unless it's the 9th inning, it's tied, and you need a run. You take him out to pinch run with a guy like LeCastro. That's the only time I take Stanton out.
All right. It's not the first time I had a dumb idea, but like no, it's like I said. Sometimes things just come into my head and I just say them and just to see how the discussion goes. All right, Steve. Bader was not hitting up until game 1 with Bieber's slider. I would be concerned about Bader's ability to lay off when Bader throws a slider away, but we shall see. Yeah, it's when you have a nasty slider like Bieber does, I think it doesn't matter who it is, you're gonna get fooled on it. But I would leave Bader in the bottom of the order right now. Like I like him in the 9th spot. I'm with Rob on that because after the first round through the order, it's almost like having 2 leadoff guys. Especially if you can get with like we were saying, if you have your catcher, whether it's be Trevino or Higgy, IKF. I would actually have IKF in the 8th spot. Have IKF, Bader, Judge as your 8-9-1. So I actually do. I think that would work. I think that's a good formula.
It could work. I don't think they need to change anything up. The only thing is maybe they start Carpenter tonight or tomorrow, whenever the hell they play, because they might want that extra thump in the order. I won't say lefty because Cabrera is a switch hitter, but they might want Carpenter's pop early in the game, and then when Bieber's out, that's when you make the switch for Cabrera.
Like, am I overthinking it when I would say I would hold off on starting Carpenter until we get to Cleveland? Where if you win tonight's game or tomorrow's game, whenever they play it, you're up 2-0. That's when you could start plugging in. Not that he's a true bench player. They're not going to start Hicks. Even if they they're already up in the series. But would you rather see Carpenter get in on the field when they're already having a better advantage in the series?
I'd rather him be tracking balls down in left field than Yankee Stadium over Cleveland. It's a much different ballpark. I don't think he should be covering any ground in Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland, I believe, is deeper to left field than Yankee Stadium. I'm not sure about the dimensions. I just know that every time I see it, it looks like it's a bigger ballpark than Yankee Stadium. So I think tonight's the best opportunity for him to start.
And Elliott's with you, Spencer. He's agreed. Stanton stays in. I don't care if he strikes out 4 times. He may always run into one. Yeah, it's Stanton. Yeah, I don't know. I'm always up for the possibilities of when different situations come about, knowing when to kind of read the game. And if you have a guy that they bring in that's not, that's pitching from the right side and has weak numbers against lefties, and you pull your lefty off the mound. You put your lefty at the plate, especially if he's under 3 hitters, because they can't just swap him. He's got to pitch to the lefty with bad numbers. So I think that would be a very rare situation and unlikely, but that would be a situation where it's like I wouldn't be able to really hassle Boone about making that type of move.
So I just checked. Progressive Field is about 11 feet deep. No, not even. It's about 7 feet deeper to left field than Yankee Stadium, but it's 370 to left center. It's only 400 to center field. It just looks bigger. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it does look like a bigger outfield, right?
But I still would rather him
You'd
be
rather than tonight.
playing tonight against Bieber. Not to say McKenzie's an easier pitcher, but I would rather Carpenter's ability to go yard hitting in Yankee Stadium against Bieber than Cabrera right now. And I love Cabrera, but if you're going to start Carpenter at any point, tonight would be the best time to do it.
Well, we'll see if they even have the game tonight. So that's going to be into question. Want to thank everybody in the comment sections. You guys are awesome. Steve, welcome to the chat. Welcome to hanging out with us, and hope to see you back soon. I know you. I know him from the Yankees Morning Brew with Hector. So it's good to see you coming to hang out with us. And this is going to wrap things up for us. And just always remember, wear your pinstripes, your pride, play hard.